I am a person who is and always has been in a context, and it was my extraordinary good fortune to have been born into a family of energetic, imaginative, public-spirited people. Everybody on the team are high-energy people, and that is much more of a plus in life than most people realize. No roads can sit still, they go dead.
Well, there are a couple of them here that are squirming around as we're talking.
So high energy is a much underestimated characteristic.
No.
Secondly, they all tend to think outside the box, which sometimes can be a pain in the neck to your friends, your colleagues, your teachers, but they've been trained to think outside the box. Then also, public service is part of, I speak of the influence. I got out of the Air Force, the Korean War Air Force, on a Friday. I was in uniform on Friday. I showed up at the Rhodes Associates office, at that time 340 West 58th Street, at the stroke of 9 on Monday morning. I thought that would send a signal. Well, I caught them all by surprise, and my uncle, David Rose, looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm reporting for work." He said, "No one expected you." And he said, "My father was the family speechifier." He said,
That job was taken already.
all right, my father was the speechifier, but if you're here, somebody should say something to welcome you. I've never forgotten these words. The non-speechifier, David Rose, said, "First of all, it's been our experience that most of the people in this field think of it as a cow to be milked." He said, "It's been our experience that you'll have more fun and you'll get more cream if you learn to love the cow." And he said, by loving the cow, I mean being a real professional. Knowing the nuts and bolts, knowing what used to be done, what other people are doing, the directions, being a professional, not someone who's going in to try to buy for 2 and sell for 3, but to be a productive professional. You'll have more fun. Your work day will be more enjoyable, and that's what we're in it for. And you'll get more cream, which is nice too. So loving the cow is something that seconded, I have to tell you that I'll never forget this. It was off the top of his head.
I'm just here for fluff anyway.
No, let me just give you quickly these 4 things. Number 1, loving the cat. Number 2, he said, we believe that you can't learn to swim by reading a book about swimming or watching someone else swim. You can't ride a bicycle, learn to ride a bicycle. You learn by doing. He said, we're going to give you a lot of responsibility that you're going to learn by doing. And he said, we hope that the mistakes you make are little ones, not big ones, and if you make them once, you won't make them again. But the mistakes you make, he said, are the capital investment we are prepared to place in your training. And then he gave it a sign. He said, you're a smart boy, everybody knows that, and you're going to learn quickly. He said, we are not worried. This is another David wrote. We are not worried about what you don't know, because you'll learn it. We are worried about what you do know that's wrong. I've never forgotten that. He was worried about what I did know that was wrong. Number 3 said, this is a very collegial, friendly outfit. Everybody's willing to chat. Never ask anybody to do your work. Everybody in this shop is a personal producer. Everybody carries his own load. Never ask anybody to do any of your work. Then he said next, part of what your paycheck represents each week. Some common sense portion of your work week. Some common sense portion of your secretary's time should be spent pro bono, either in professional organizations for the real estate field, or the charitable world, or government. Some part of the work week, everything he said tempered with common sense. A modest person. And he said the French peasant, he said the French peasant at the time of the vintage tends to pour a little wine back up the roots in gratitude for the wine coming out. Our way of pouring a little wine, we're a family of wineries, by the way. Our way of pouring a little wine back on the roots is giving time. And he said, look around, find out what your friends are doing. Find out some charitable group that interests you. Here, take your time. And then he looks at me and glowers and says, of course, if after a reasonable amount of time you haven't found some group to work with, he said, one will be found for you. So these things, these were the opening comments, loving the cow by being a professional, and learning by doing, and carrying your own workload, and also thinking that part of what my paycheck represents is some common sense part of public service. I've tried to live that up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only